What up, guys? Coach Vassar. Thank you for joining me with OTF Audio Daily Beats. As always, if you're new, appreciate you tuning in, listening to me talk about these workouts. If you find value in them, information is in the description to support me. And as always, any feedback, let me know. We have a non-repeat workout for today. This is Monday, November 10th. You'll only see it on this day. We'll see endurance on the treads, power on the rower, and strength on the weight floor. Talk about the 2G, talk about the 3G, and then wrap it on up. So as far as the 2G key concepts, we're going to see a 23-minute tread block repeating a 1-minute push with double the time, 2 minutes, in base for active recovery. The goal is, can you increase your push each round? For the rower, each time you're on the rower, it's 1 minute. Start your row in a push, finish in an all out. And then on the floor, you have 2 blocks, 2 exercises, rest, and then a variation of the bear plank that will progressively get more challenging throughout the workout. You'll need benches out and dumbbells, of course. So when we look at the tread side, 1 minute push, 2 minute base. You'll do this for a total of 7 rounds, and then you'll see a bonus 1 minute push directly into a 1 minute all out. The goal today is to increase the push speed, even for power walkers, by 0.1 up to 0.3 miles per hour every time. And then optionally, adjust their base speed as needed, okay? So depending on how aggressive someone starts, if they're very conservative with their push, they may not need to adjust their base. Totally fine. Of course, if they start really aggressive on that push, they're going to have to widen the gap and really pull back on the base to, 1, get that feeling of active recovery, and 2, see a small dip in heart rate response. All right, so power walkers start at 6% incline or greater. I would personally just keep them at 6% and encourage them to try to increase that walk speed, okay? Because there are a total of 7 opportunities to increase their speed. If you have someone who typically power walks at 3.5, they will probably end around 4.2, and they might realize that is so much harder than just trying to increase the incline. Joggers and runners, same thing. Start about 1 mile per hour over base. Because you have 7 increases later on, they're going to be tapping into something very close to an all-out speed potentially. Of course, if they start more aggressive, maybe they go like 1.5 over their base. Well, now when they finish, they're going to be about 2.2 miles per hour over their base on that last push. That's entering into that all-out territory. So they definitely may need to pull back on that base by that 3rd, 4th, or even 5th round. Okay. For the bikes and striders, there's no true call out here, but if the goal is to increase speed, I would try to encourage them to increase their RPMs like every other push, right? So start 3 gears over base or 4, and then do that for the first 2, and then the next 2, hey, let's try to increase your RPMs by about 3 to 5. And then the next 2, same thing, and then the last 2, same thing, okay? Because there is a total of 8 1-minute pushes. When it comes to the base, if they can maintain it, great. If they need to adjust, they can. And then maybe they go back, or they adjust one time and they use that as their new base for the rest of the block. Those are all things to definitely call out and encourage members to listen to their body about. And if you see people, making that adjustment to their base, give them that encouragement of saying like, hey, good job for listening to your body and scaling back when you need to. That way we could prioritize that increase to that push today. And especially because you have 2 minutes at base, we should see some heart rate beat per minute change. By that 4th round though, they're probably going to be in that orange. It's going to stay elevated. But even in that orange, we could still see a little bit of dip and climb in that heart rate response. All right, now when we look at the weight floor, block 1, 10 minutes just on the floor. We're going to see a single arm high row from the bench. So one hand's on the bench, elbow comes out, targeting the back of the shoulders. That pairs up with the alternating L raise. So from a standing position, you have a front raise and a lateral raise. That's 1. Next rep, other side. Okay, and then they rest. So a lot of, they're going to be hitting front, lateral, medial, and then the posterior deltoid with those 2 movements. Because they're done back to back, I would potentially use like the same weight for both of those and try to, go with like a lighter to moderate weight choice. And then as a repeat, if they could go up, go up. Then they're going to do a bear plank hold for around 20 seconds. Key thing for that hold, just like a plank, it's about activation. So rather than just being in the position, really emphasize trying to engage and recruit the abs by pulling them in. Think about squeezing the quads, actively pressing through the shoulders, keeping that chest proud, and really try to spread the fingers and put that weight in the entire palm rather than just in the wrist right here. If they do it right, like 20 seconds to maximize muscular engagement should be pretty tough to do. The next movement is going to be a step down toe tap. So from the top of the bench, they'll take 1 foot off. They lower their foot. The analogy I like to use, and you've probably heard this as well, you're dipping your toe in the swimming pool. So you just want to barely touch the floor and pick it right back up. The key thing to get the most out of this movement, though, is the leg that goes down. You want to keep that leg locked out from the hip to the toe. So no bend in the knee. All the work is done on the leg that's on the bench. All too often, you'll have people put their foot down, and then the leg that's now on the floor, they'll bend that knee and press off of it rather than press off the leg that's on the bench. Okay. A challenge for that movement is to try to do it as a heel tap. So rather than have the toe pointed, can they go into dorsiflexion and have the heel touch the floor as they keep the knee locked out and then press up? Very tough movement because that extra 2 to 3 inches for that range of motion, very tough. That will pair up with the goblet squat hold lateral walk for 4 reps. They'll rest, and now they have the bear step. Now for that bear step, they'll start in that bear plank position. My right hand will go forward. My left leg will go forward as well. Then I come back to that neutral position. Then the left arm, the right leg, and then back. Okay. If people just can't quite get that or grasp that, great alternative is from that bear plank position, go into shoulder taps. That way they still get that, they lose that one leg of balance, and they're working on stability of the core and the shoulders. They'll repeat those 6 things until time is called, and then you have 2 minutes to get them set up on the next part, where they're going to see a single arm deadlift, 4 per side, minimizing any type of torso rotation, followed by a tall kneeling bicep curl. So on the knees, core braced, hips are tight, elbows at your side, squeeze, back down. If you see people leaning back, think about encouraging them to try to drive off their toes of their feet to push them forward. You could also have people split their stance. If they split their stance, just make sure they still crunch in rather than lean back, because that will put a little bit of pressure on that lower back. And then we go into the most complex version of that bear plank, the bear plank alternating kick through. So this is the one where they'll start there, they'll rotate, hand goes on the hip, they kick out, and they come back, then the other side. Remember, the bear plank pull through is the one where we pull the elbow back. Here, we're just going to set that hand on the hip. And then they have a 1-minute row build. So use that stored programs for 1 minute. They start at push for the first 30 and then finish at an all out. So if you use stroke rate, they'll start around maybe 24 to 28 for that first half and then 28 plus for the back half. Or if you look at watts, they shoot up. Simple. After that, they go back to the deadlift. Now the finisher is their choice of either a 1-minute all out row or any of the 3 bear plank variations. Okay. This might be one where people actually decide to row because those bear plank movements are either super awkward and they don't like it, or they're super tough and they don't like it. Either way, they got to do something for that final minute. Now, when we look at the 3G, we're going to see 1 lung block on all 3 groups. For the treads, it's just like the 2G. It's a 1-minute push followed by a 2-minute base on repeat. You'll see a total of 4 of those. Yep, 4 of those, and then a 1-minute push into an all-out. Same goal as before, increase push 0.1 to 0.3 every time, lower base as needed. Because there's obviously a shorter amount block here, people could make bigger jumps on those push increases compared to a 2G. For the rower, it's all about the build again. So we're going to see 400, 300, and 200 meter distances, where halfway through, you go from a push into an all-out. You'll do your 400 meter build twice. So push all out, rest, push all out, rest, 400, 400. Then you're going to see the split squat hold rainbow with either Y-bell or med balls. So 1 foot in front, drop down into that lunge position, 1, 2, 3 for 8 reps. Then you go into that 300 meter build 2 times. So 150 push, 150 all out, rest, do it again. And then 200. And of course, after that 300, it's the same split squat hold rainbow, all that stuff. The big thing here is the goal is to increase the all-out intensity as the build distances decrease. So push row should be about the same for all three distances, but the all out, because they get shorter, can they be more intense? So a higher spike in watts um, by about halfway through that all out distance, right? So we should see, maximal watt output about 100 meters into that 200 all out in the 400 build. Around 75 meters is when we should see that biggest spike in the all out wattage in the 300. And then for the 200 at about 50 meters, it's ramped up and then they keep it high. If they finish all three distances twice and the Y bell stuff, they could put the Y bell away and then they row until the finisher, which is the 1 minute all out. And then on the weight floor, it is going to be block one's work, and that's it. So from the 2G. So high row, L raise, bear plank hold. We'll do that for 2 rounds. And then step down, toe tap, lateral walk, bear step, 2 rounds. And then they do all 6 things as one big block until the finisher of either the bear plank hold or the bear step. And then that wraps it up for that Monday 3G workout. Any feedback, let me know. Otherwise, coach it down.